Hello, hello. How are you? How are you today? Let me ask you something. What if I told you Battlefield Studios would love to give us more than 2 maps per season, but they say they simply can't? And then, just a few days later, they say they actually don't want to because it would hurt quality. Yeah, that's the situation right now with Battlefield 6. And today we are going to break down exactly what DICE producer Alexia Christofi said, why the messaging feels contradictory, and how, with the same effort, Battlefield 6 could realistically deliver four maps per season instead of 2. And no, this isn't just complaining, I'm bringing a solution. Let's get into it. So, first, the initial statements reported by Battlefield Bulletin from an interview with GameSpot. Alexia Christofi basically said this: the biggest obstacles to making more than 2 maps per season are time and resources. And she said, and I quote, "In terms of cadence, we would love to create way more maps, but we are just trying to kind of bring things to players as we can and as quickly as we can build them." So the message here is clear. They want to make more maps, but they can't because of production constraints. Time, resources, team size, that's understandable. Game development is hard, maps are expensive, testing takes forever. But here's where it gets interesting. She also confirmed that limited time modes are here to stay because Battlefield now has a wide variety of players: hardcore veterans, new players, casuals, competitive grinders, and if a limited time mode really resonates, they won't shut the door on it. So, what's the takeaway from this first interview? Battlefield Studios wants to create more maps, it is limited by time and resources, is experimenting with content variety, is listening to feedback. Okay, so far that sounds like a production bottleneck issue. But then, at an event at Las Vegas, in a later interview with GameSpot, the reasoning changed. This time, Christofi said they are releasing maps at a cadence where they feel the maps are up to quality. She said, "There are worlds in which we release hundreds of maps, but they are not fun. We never want to do that. And we are a team of a certain size. We don't want to sacrifice quality." So now the framing isn't just we can't, it's we don't want to if quality suffers. That's a big difference. Before resource limitation, now quality protection. And look, that's fair in theory, nobody wants bad maps. But here's the uncomfortable part. A large part of the community doesn't agree that the current map pool represents some ultra-premium standard that justifies only 2 maps per season. That's where frustration comes from. Not anger, not toxicity, just frustration. Because Battlefield is not a battle royale, it's not an extraction shooter. Battlefield lives and dies by its maps. Maps are the content. Reduce map variety and you reduce replayability. Reduce replayability and long-term engagement drops. It's that simple. Let's talk honestly. Blackwell for many players, feels static. Tanks are camping safely at their own base. Air vehicles are irrelevant. The game logic is so predictable in that map. Contaminated is a decent map, especially in Conquest game mode, but questionable spawn placements for the defenders in Breakthrough mode. Eastwood feels infantry first, with vehicles added just to tick a box. New Sobek, visually impressive but overloaded with rooftops and elevated sidelines, frustrating to push. And the 48 players maps, they don't fully support large scale conquest or breakthrough. Now compare that to Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, Battlefield 1. Expansions used to drop with 4 maps, distinct identities, naval warfare, snowstorms, urban destruction, massive armor warfare. You felt like you were getting new battlefields. So the question becomes, if Battlefield Studios has more studios under the umbrella than ever before, why does output feel smaller? Okay, instead of just complaining, here's my proposal. 4 maps per season, 2 brand new maps, built internally, same as now, and 2 maps sourced from Portal. Not copy-paste, community maps, a structured pipeline. Step 1. Highlight top-tier Portal creations based on engagement, design quality, and technical stability. Step 2. They bring them into their official internal software development kit. Rebalance vehicles, fix spawn logic, improve destruction, optimize performance, polish lighting, make them official grade. Step 3. We heavy testing them in Battlefield Labs. Step 4. They integrate them into seasonal rotation as certified official maps taken from Portal, taken from the maps created by the community. What does this do? It doubles playable content without doubling developers' workload from zero. It gives Portal a meaning. It empowers creators. It creates a feedback loop between us, the community, and they, the studio. It reduces the perception of stagnation and it respects the reality of limited resources. This isn't just make more maps, it's restructure production intelligently. Battlefield doesn't need miracles, it needs variety. So, now here's where things got spicy. Some people said other things about my proposal. Here you can see the post I made on Reddit describing the situation and my proposal, the same as I said earlier, and some comments said, 4 maps each season for a free live service are completely unrealistic, guys. I understand you need content, but at least be reasonable. And some others replied, obviously, free live service? Think I paid, actually, for the game and for the battle pass. Paid for what? This isn't premium and there isn't an obligated amount of content listed in your bill of sale. Paid for the damn game, lol. It was $80 at least. Yes, it was quite spicy, the price, if you bought it on the first days. Why is this getting downvoted? Lol, I paid £65. I expect more map releases and live service to be included, as this is the minimum for a game of this kind of at that price. As if there are people here disagreeing with this, that we should get less value for money and should only receive updates if we pay extra? How cook are you all? There's an obligated amount of I should get what I really well paid for, which is a fucking fire shooter game, because that's what Battlefield represents and that's what I was sold on. I shouldn't pay extra until they have delivered on that. I paid for a game, I want to be satisfied with that what I paid for. If I paid £30, sure, but £65, I'm not gonna pay nearly £100 after extra costs to have my expectations of a Battlefield game met. Are you mad? Or do you think it's okay that developers release games that don't meet your expectations and then expect you to spend at least another 5% of the original game to have your expectations met? Am I dumb or? So, other comments said other things. About the price, about other games, about other free live services like the ones we saw in Battlefield 5. about investors. So obviously there are people who have said a lot of other things, but for example, I want to make a video about this topic, but it's not about time or quality or any of that crap. You can easily disapprove these points you input is that exactly. There are faster ways to make better maps. Here's the truth. Making maps versus making skins for the various as cosmetics. Maps take more time, more trial and error, more testing and more people testing assets. It simply takes longer. Cosmetics require significantly less work and take less time. Maps were previously sold but basically for 15 bucks. Cosmetics are easier and can fetch the same 15 bucks. Understanding maps are not the money makers in corporate logic. We, as a community or someone on the dev team, needs to create a relationship between map releases and sales of cosmetics. We as players inherently understand that we come back and pay more for more maps is more time spent playing and a higher likelihood to spend money on cosmetics. It's not about we want more maps, there has to be a financial incentive to justify more maps making more dollars, and just flat out it doesn't. They give them for free because the $100 in 10 hours is just so good. So there are some kind of other comments, blah blah blah. And obviously there are areas on campaign mode that were ported to create interesting 64 players maps. The entire Battle Royale map could be divided, split up in about like 15 large conquest maps. So, or they could make a giant large 50 versus 50 players conquest mode on that. So they have many ways to really create a good alternative to have more than 2 maps per season. So now I want to ask you, if you love Battlefield 6, would you rather have 2 perfect maps per season or 4 well curated, well tested, diverse maps including community creations elevated to official status? Is this about resources or philosophy? Drop your thoughts, your comments, your insights below. Disagree with me, agree with me, propose something better, something even better, whatever you want to propose. Let's actually have the conversation. And if you care about Battlefield 6 future, hit like, because the more engagement this video gets, the more this discussion reaches people who actually love this franchise, the better. Battlefield lives and dies by its maps and by its community, so let's talk about them. See you in the comments. See you soon, and I hope you have enjoyed this video. Good afternoon, good night, good morning, whatever you are. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for seeing this video.